All right, so that's a gene. A gene is a section of DNA. One section of DNA. Remember, you've got a lot of DNA on each chromosome. You've got a lot of DNA. A gene is one section of DNA. Now, because you have two different sections, these are known as alleles. This gene that is coding is the code for brown hair, or is it blonde hair, and this gene that's the code for blonde hair. They are called alleles. Regardless, even if it was a big B on one side, it doesn't matter, big B, little b, which one it is. These are known as alleles because they're coding for one trait. They're a pair of partner genes that are coding for the same thing. Your Chromebook should be tilted down. Coding for the same thing. So this is the example I've used before. If you go into somebody's house, 100% of the time I've ever gone into somebody's house, their toilet is found in the same place. What room?
The bathroom.
The bathroom. Now, once I get into the bathroom, their toilet may look different. It may be white, it may be gold, it might have fuzzy carpet stuff on the toilet lid, it may have a lid that slowly goes down or the one that crashes down. The tank may be really up high up here, and you pull a string and the water flows down. There's a bunch of different toilets, but every single time you go into somebody's bathroom, you're going to find the toilet, right? So on all of our DNA, when you look at the DNA, you're going to see in the same spot. Let's say that this is chromosome number 3. We have 23 pairs. This is chromosome number 3. In this section, every single time for all of us humans, the same things are going to be found here. It's going to be the code for hair color. Or it might be the code for eye color, or the code for whether your second toe is bigger than your first toe. There's all kinds of different stuff. All your genes are going to be found in the same place. Do you understand? Just like the toilet, the bathroom is found in the same place, the toilet is found in the same place, is the same. It's going to be found in the same place on your DNA, but the toilet may look different. Your genes may have a gene, your alleles right here, they may have a spot for, it may code for red hair or blonde hair or brown hair or whatever, different than other people, but it's found in the same place. Do y'all understand that? Does that make sense? So genes, this is a gene, a section of DNA. A pair of genes is known as an allele. So this is determining your hair color and this is determining your hair color. It's on the same pair. And when remember we talked about meiosis? When your sex cells, sperm cells or egg cells are being made, they will randomly pick this gene here, maybe this gene here, they'll pick here, this gene over here, they'll pick this side. They're going to randomly choose every sperm cell because remember, I didn't say this, I think you have something like 20,000 to 25,000 different genes. And some of those genes have a couple dozen base pairs, and some of them have 1 million or 2 million, 200 million base pairs. They all have different amounts of base pairs, but we have something like 20,000 different genes. And because of that, if you were to imagine you flip a quarter 200 or 20,000 times, and you record heads, tails, head, all the way down. How many times would you get the exact same flips?
Not a lot.
Guys, no, I'm saying, let's say if it was 3. We did 3 flips. You got heads, tails, heads. And we flip again, 3. You got tails, heads. Wouldn't it take several times to get the same exact pattern?
Yes.
Imagine instead of 3, instead of it being the number 3, we do this 20,000 times all the way down. How often are you going to have the same pattern all the way down? It is possible. It is not going to be probable, and I don't know that that's ever happened. I'm not sure. So that's why every sperm cell and every egg cell have different genes in them, and that's why when you have siblings, brothers and sisters, your genes are going to be different because there are different sperm cells and different egg cells that were brought together to fertilize that egg. All right. So we talked about genes. A gene is a segment of DNA. Talked about alleles. It's the same. It's 2 different sections of DNA that code for the same thing. We talked about what a trait is. Okay, I don't think we did. A trait in science class. A trait we're going to be talking about is a genetically determined characteristic. If you talk about this outside of class, like sometimes I might use the phrase trait, and I'm just talking about somebody's hair color or their shirt color, or whether they're frustrating or really, really funny. And those things may not be genetically determined. Is the shirt color genetically determined?
No.
No, but you could describe a trait of theirs today being a shirt color. But we'll talk about it in genetics. In this unit, we're going to be talking about a genetically determined trait, a genetically determined characteristic. So allele, gene, chromosome, trait. Any other words we haven't talked about that's on that screen? I think that's it. So you can go through this slideshow. We've got chromosomes, are condensed things of DNA, typically happen during mitosis. The rest of the time they're just kind of spread out. You got alleles. So for example, this allele. Are these the same genes? So this one is here, this one is here. Are these the same genes? Would this be capital B, or lowercase b, or capital lowercase? What would it be? There's going to be different, correct? Y'all see how they're different because this is a different eye color than this. What about this? Is this going to be different than this?
Yeah.
Yes. Is this going to be different than this?
No.
No, so these two are going to be the same. So you can see this. Like I wrote big E, big B, little b, because these are different. Something separate. And then for this one I wrote big T, because mom and dad both donated a gene for being tall. And again, it's not this simple. We're making it simple just to understand the concepts. So every time a gene was selected from your mom and your dad, every gene was a completely random. It's random from their two genes. They donated that to make you, and sometimes they're the same as the other. So like maybe it's a big B and a big B, or sometimes they're opposite. And which one's always going to win? The dominant gene. When is the recessive gene going to show?
Whenever the dominant gene is in there.
Only when the dominant gene is there. We show that by capitals and lowercases. But if you go Miss Frizzle on the genes, are you going to see capital letters in your genes? No. Let's keep going. Trait. We talked about genetically determined characteristic. Living organisms get their traits from their parents, not your grandparents, from your parents. This is called heredity. And as you can see the cartoon, it says, "Why are you so obnoxious?" And the girl says, "Heredity." What is she saying?
You.
No, you. Yeah. She's saying, "I'm obnoxious because you're obnoxious." Now, I would not recommend you say this. Your parents might think it's funny. You might get grounded. I'm not sure. But sometimes I do. Like I was mean to my mom this morning. I try to call my mom every morning on the way to work. Just check up on her. I called her this morning and I tricked her. I was being mean to her. I tricked her for something. I said, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I get this from you." And essentially, I'm saying I got this from you. I get this. This is this way because of genetics. A trait or not. Color of your eyes. Is that a genetically determined trait?
Yes.
Yes. Shirt.
No.
Your popularity.
No.
You could argue that there's things that determine that, but your popularity was not determined from birth.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It may be affected by certain things. Your height.
Yes.
Can your height be affected by non-genetic means?
Yes.
What if you don't eat enough? Could that change your height?
Yes.
Yeah, it could change. If you're malnourished, that's going to change everything. What about scars? Is that genetic?
No.
No. Size. Shoe size.
Yes.
No, your foot size is. Your shoe size is not.
Oh.
You understand?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Skin color. Yes. Now, there are some things on here that, again, you can have genetic traits that are affected by non-genetic trait things. So, like, my hair may be this color, but if I bleach it, it's going to be blonde. Yeah. All right. This is a cool picture. It's also printed over there on the wall. This again. This is not what your chromosomes look like. These have been colored for you to see them better. And it shows the alleles. You see how this little green, orange patch right here? Those are the alleles for that thing. You got yellow, little dots of red. So this kind of shows, in my mind, it shows you kind of some of those matching genes that work together. All right, let's look at this. See if you can roll your tongue. See if you can roll your tongue. We'll go through this quick. We'll jump back to this after the video's done. Widow's peak. Widow's peak is where your hair comes out under your hairline. It comes to a point. Some of it's very drastic, like this guy, a cartoon character from a show long ago. I think his name is Edmund, if I remember correctly. It's Edmund Munster. Attached earlobes, whether your earlobe comes and it just transitions to your head, or if it comes down like it's a drop. Attached earlobes or not, that is genetic trait. Hitchhiker's thumb. Some of your thumb goes straight up. Some of yours goes like 90 degrees. Cleft chin, smooth chin. Chin fissure. Oh, dimple. Darwin's tubercle on your ear. You can look at other people for some of these. You can't really see it on yours. Pigmented iris, freckles. No, here's the thing. For what I understand about freckles, freckles are not genetic. Your chances or your ability to get freckles easily is genetic. So freckles, I believe, are sun damage, are results of sun damage. damage to your skin. So typically, the darker your skin is, the less likely you are to get freckles. Typically, the lighter your skin is, the easier. That just anecdotal evidence looking around. But I'm pretty sure freckles are caused by sun damage, and it's easier for you to get sun damage if you are really, really, really light-skinned. Polydactyl, what's that mean?
You're double jointed.
Another finger.
There's no such thing as double jointed. You always have the same number of joints. Maybe your joints may be kind of pop, or maybe they're not as good of a joint. Polydactyl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fingers. Polydactyl. Dimples. I'm pretty sure dimples are a dominant trait. It's interesting. And woolly hair. Long eyelashes. Short big toe. Alright, let's go through this. Do we all have the same number of chromosomes?
Yes.
Do all of us have the same number of chromosomes?
Yes.
Yes. So for Down syndrome, I'm pretty sure it's the 22nd chromosome. There's 3 of them instead of 2. And I think that's what that is. But for the most part, humans in general, our chromosome number is 46. 23 pairs. 23 times 2 is what? 23 times 2 is 46. Yes. How many do other organisms have? What do you think a dog has? Less or more?
More.
Less? 78. What about a chimpanzee?
More. Less.
So we have 46, they have 48. What about a butterfly?
More.
What number?
300.
Okay, so here's the question. Does the number of chromosomes have anything to do with the intelligence of that organ, what we would call intelligence, the size, anything like that? No, there's no direct. So this is what I understand. Some animals have a lot of junk DNA is how they term it. And I think they're starting to see that some of this is not exactly true, but this is how I understand it as of now. So some organisms have more junk DNA. And that junk DNA is DNA that doesn't seem to be used, but if it gets mutated, it can add to some mutations that may be beneficial for that organism. So I wonder if butterflies have a bunch of junk DNA in their cells. I'm not sure. Chicken?
More.
78.
Less.
Fruit fly?
Less. More.
Less.
Pig? What about a Homo sapien?
More. What's a more? More.
It sounds cool.
So how much would a Homo sapien have?
46.
46.
What's
Yes.
a homo sapien?
Us. That's our genus and species. We'll talk about that next. Genus and species. Homo sapien.
Why are we going
Okay, alright, so that's it. If you have any questions, you can look back in your notes. You can look back at this video that's being recorded. You can look back at the slides that are there. If all else fails, and let's say Mr. Hurley's not here one day, you have Google, right? And there's a lot of information out there that is inaccurate. But you should be able to, like just this morning, I was looking up on websites trying to learn some more. I had a question about something. I was trying to learn more. Guys, go to the internet. It does not solve all of your problems, and it creates a lot of that. It actually creates a lot of problems. But use that to your advantage. All right.
Where do we find